Hello, welcome to another Train Sim World 5 video, and you joined us at an opportunistic time because we had a Pendolino racing through. This is in the OTS 2019 timetable. I've substituted though the 66 for an 86. I've been itching to do an 86 Freightliner scenario ever since it came out. So we're in free roam mode and we need to first of all get our cab set up. We should be double headed really, but we'll talk about that a little bit when we get going. And now, I mean, strictly speaking, we're kind of in mid-flight, you almost might say, and you would think, well, we should be really set up already, but I just fancied the idea of getting things set up. It's just a good way to start. So first of all, we need to do this DVD device. I mean, when you click on it, it says DSD, but it's labelled quite clearly as DVD. Now, the other thing that I've got no concept of until a bit earlier on this evening is this thing up here, which is the brake selector switch. I had no idea where it was, but I finally found it. Now, I've tried a couple of different modes, and you do have air brake goods, but that doesn't work with this. But it does seem to work okay with vacuum brake goods, so hopefully that will work. As right, let's try and find a way back to the cab. It's always like a little bit of a maze, actually. Here we are. It's lovely the fact you can go in the engine room though, so realistic, and adds so much immersion to it. So we'll sit ourselves back in the cab. We'll put the instrument lights onto bright. Don't really show up too much in the daytime, but they show up wonderfully well at night time, it has to be said. So we'll get the AWS switched on. I don't think it matters which order you do this in. And we'll get ourselves into oh yeah, we need to do the, I thought I'd already done the master's key actually, but anyway, get ourselves into forward. Oh, that's good, isn't it? 350 and a Pendolino coming through at the same time. Now that should have been the thumbnail really, shouldn't it? So we'll pretend we've been held at this signal for some time. And I'm hoping after all this we can still get moving. Not got the most powered of units, have we really? But we are underway. I mean, we are on the flat as well, so goodness knows what it's going to be like when we are up in the air. Or going uphill, I should say. So this is basically a coat bridge, which is in Scotland near Glasgow, to Felixstowe. So the idea is, I'm hoping over the two parts that we're going to go as far as Stratford and do part 2 over the North London line. But I thought, well, seeing as though it's going to be quite stressful on the North London line with all the 378 traffic, I thought let's give it a go to begin with the a faster stretch down the West Coast main line. Just double checking what that gauge, vacuum pipe chamber. It feels as though there is a thing over here, isn't there, which, oh, vacuum release. Oh, okay. That'll make any difference. It might do. So we've got 43 miles to go. Now, as I was saying, this really should be double-headed, and you would very rarely see an 86 operating a freight train like this. This livery, incidentally, this absolutely lovely livery, has been done by Ash Blue and is available on the Creators Club. And it's an unnumbered one. He says he is going to do some numbered ones fairly soon, but I couldn't quite wait for that. Very nice looking it is too. Yeah, so we're all right with power anyway, aren't we? So okay, that I can't get those vacuum pipes down. There's probably some technique that I'm totally missing with that, but never mind. I just thought as well, I've used the OTS timetable just simply because it feels a bit more appropriate, really, because of course the Freightliners on the 86 services haven't been used for a couple of years. I think it was it 2022? Might have been 23 when they were last used. But of course, as I say, they were always double-headed for extra power. But the problem is, this Just Trains one has not been modelled for double heading, so you can connect another train up to it, but effectively you'll be running it dead. Here is Milton Keynes Central. Very, very interesting to see what happens if we get any significant climbs on this journey, but hoping we'll be able to negotiate it. So this is literally free roam, so we've got into Creators Club, and well, it's kind of free roam. I've selected a timetable run, but then I've taken I had to detach and uncouple the 66 that was on the front, and then move it away, and then remove the 66 and then put the 86 on the front. I mean, the one thing I'm probably missing a trick here is I think I'm on the up fast now, aren't I? Which is rather pushing it, I think. We could have used or taken the benefit of having using the waypoint. We could have directed us onto the slow lines potentially, but never mind. Now, it does say 100 miles an hour, but I think we are restricted to 75 with the this Freightliner, I think. we are going downhill, so it's a bit easier this section. But we're still building up power okay, and obviously it's going to be restrict us a little bit, the fact that we've only got the Class 86. But I mean, much as though I love the sort of the default timetable stuff that's available, it's great that you can do all this sort of stuff really, and you can stretch the legs of the 86 in other routes as well. So, you know, it's just as at home on the Alan Thompson simulation Manchester Airport commuter run. You could use it on the East Coast main line as well if you wanted to, on a kind of a diverted service. Here is Bletchley. It's just slightly slower building up the speed, that's all. There we go, that's a 66 on a intermodal service going north, and it's an incredibly busy line for freight traction. Freight action, I suppose you could say. Wait till we were going at least at a kind of a decent speed before I showed the full train rake. Just as well we can hear the alarms from outside the cab. I mean, some will say that's a bit unrealistic, but it's a God save when you're showing the outside view, because it's lovely to show off the outside view. And we'll run down a little bit because we are going over the 75 mile an hour. We should be held on the very early part of the North London line at the turn-back siding signal, so that should hopefully work out quite nicely for part 2. Never remember with the F keys. It's quite nice to show the outside view and to actually show oh, there's one of those floating silk pendolinos. That was nice, but yeah, it's quite nice to show the outside view and then turn the sort of the menu bar off at the top. Go, it says I've driven it 100 miles now. and that's well, as I'm recording that, that's in less than a week. Quickly become one of my favourite trains. That livery. Now we should shortly be passing through Leighton Buzzard, and it's moments like this though when you kind of look at the catenary and the detail, and I know it's got its critics at times, but it remains my favourite route in TSW. I love some of the other ones with all the variety and stuff. I was looking a bit earlier in real life at this area, and there are some sort of particular distinctive flats that you always see on the left-hand side as you come through Leighton Buzzard, and I have to say they aren't there, but anyway, can't have everything. Oh, that was a neutral section. Should have been looking out. One thing I am interested in seeing if I can see is Rydigo Bridge is in this area quite soon. It's not long after Leighton Buzzard. Now, if it's been completely accurately done, there is some like farm buildings on the right hand side. Here. Yeah, that's the those are the that was it. That was Rydigo Bridge there. Yeah. Oh, that's quite accurate. Yeah, I recognise that from the from Google Maps. Lost a bit of speed there, but again at 75 miles an hour it's not too far off. Yeah, I was reminded about this from Scooby on the live stream on Sunday about the Great Train Robbery. I've never seen it in real life, the particular area, but of course it's famous because that's where it happened, and the robbers placed they put a filter over the camera so that sorry, over the signal, so that it gave a full signal, and the driver was forced to put his brakes on, and then of course they kind of broke into the cab, and they started all the shenanigans, and it was on the Irish Mail train. And it was in the early days of the line had been electrified by then, but it was actually class 40 as it goes. Was it 4126? I actually got that wrong. Right in saying the driver was it Jack Mills? You know, I should check on these things before I start the stream sometimes, but you sometimes, well, I sometimes forget. It's a lovely train to drive, and I have to say that Just Trains have done an amazing job. Great to have the 86. I'd love to see, and again, you wouldn't put it past somebody to do a mod on Trainsim Community. I don't know whether it's possible, but just so that we can get sort of double-headed workings where both trains are operational. I think the Just Trains team were basically saying, well, the 87's a bit different because that notch indicator driving loco that you can see on the right, the right-hand side of those three gauges, there's two of those in the 87, which is basically because of the fact that it's capable of running dual powered. And you'll know if you've watched the live streams when I've done the freight runs. I mean, a year ago, we started the live streams back in September with the release of Trainsim World 5, and I kind of only did a 66 because it was one of the options on West Coast Main Line South, and I was keen to explore all the layers, but I've never really done a great deal of freight running before then, and in fact it's taken me a bit of learning with the 66 and kind of gradually improving in that respect with driving that, because it's a completely different experience driving a freight loco. And one of the great followers in the channel, Amaze Tays, kind of got me interested into it really, because he was always saying he absolutely loves doing a good freight run, and it's some of the most chilled out driving you can experience, and you might get okay, I think we're hopefully going to get green running on this one, but we're not going to get that on when we get onto the North London line, but it's quite chilled out driving actually. You haven't got stations to worry about, and it's just quite relaxing. I mean, I enjoy all the varieties of train sim driving. It's good doing a tube run where you're stopping every few seconds, and it's good to do the fast expresses and the sort of the semi-fast ones as well. All the various possibilities, and you know, all sorts of speeds. I mean, when you do a 378 run on the North London line, you're not going to get above 45 mile an hour. And they are using Armstrong Powerhouse sounds with this 86 as well, so Just sounds absolutely lovely. We missed the start of the Pendolino coming through then, didn't we? Again, just takes a little bit of patience driving. You're notching up and you're watching the fact that you can't go into the red area. You don't want to overpower it. It wasn't really until, well, I think 87101 Stevenson was the first first overhead electric where you didn't have to notch up. Actually, that was a long 350, wasn't it? Go through Berkhamsted. Yeah, 87101 had thyristor, I think it was called, control, so didn't require all this complicated notching up. I think there's something like, I'm sure I'm right in saying there's about 30 odd notches that you have to get up to. And of course, again, you know, with a modern electric, okay, you can get wheel slip, but essentially you can just put on full power and away you go. But these older trains are very different. And then when we got the Class 90 build, they were all sort of didn't need the notching up at all, but you know, we've moved on quite a bit. They were actually intended to be originally, the build was going to be called 87-2, but I think British Rail eventually realised that they were going to look so different, the 90s, that they ended up calling them a different class number, so they came up with Class 90. We'd already had the Class 89, of course, which was the solo sort of trial engine, which was never actually utilised, or there was never a batch build of them. And of course the 91s were Intercity 225 for the East Coast Main Line. And the 92s were freight locos predominantly, although you can also see them on the Caledonian Sleeper. We did a run on the Sleeper on Train Sim Classic, didn't we, a few months back now. Yeah, if you've got a spare half an hour, 45 minutes, depending on what the run is, depending on what line you're driving, then I thoroughly recommend just doing a freight run. It's just nice and chilled out. And actually with this Class 86 you can get a kind of a clearer, better perspective on the West Coast Main Line than you'd actually do with the Pendolino. Whilst we're back on the subject of the 90s, they essentially meant that we could finally see the retirement of the old original AC electrics, which were kind of the 81s and the 85s. I think the 81s had gone quite some time before, but then the 85s stayed in service for quite a while. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the 82s and the 83s as well. And in the latter days, they saw a little bit of service out of Euston on sort of empty carriage stop working to Wembley. So they had a little bit of a stay of execution. I think, I can't remember if it was the 82 or the 83, but one of them was actually painted into intercity colours as well. This is using the OTS timetable, which is based on sort of winter 2019, which was the very last days of the Virgin Trains franchise. You know, sort of Avanti took over late on in 2019. So of course that's why a lot of the Pendolinos were kind of painted in that sort of grey colour without anything else. You've still got the occasional Virgin one in flowing silk colours. It was King's Langley, wasn't it? So that's the M25 going overhead. We're not too far away from Watford Junction. It's near impossible to keep to 75 miles an hour because pretty much since Tring we're essentially downhill all the way. Really love the sound of the motors just powering up. But even though we're going downhill, it's interesting, isn't it? It just takes a little bit of time to actually gain proper traction. So 350. And I've been saying for ages actually that ever since really the North London line came out that I fancy doing a freight from Milton Keynes to Stratford, so this is finally the chance. I'm hoping part 2 isn't going to be too far behind because just occasionally sometimes I've promised part 2 and then I'll do it about 2 years later, so I don't think it'll be that far away. Originally I was going to start this actually on the North London line, but then I thought, well, it's going to be a testy old run that, and not too fast. It's going to be plenty of adverse signals with all the stopping services in front. So well, it'd be nice to have a kind of a part where it's essentially non-stop. The bike racks. Love that sort of detail. And I think that's 377's waiting for the platform at Watford Junction. And again, because this is set 2019, so pre-COVID, then that was going to be bound for Milton Keynes Central, most likely, rather than a Watford Junction service. Slightly irks me some of the buildings in and around the industrial park there at near Watford Junction, because it would have been nice to have had a little bit more variety. I mean, you're supposed to be able to see a Tesco in the background, which is very prominent when you're on the train. And I know they couldn't have put Tesco branding, but I mean, we see with Alan Thompson with the Manchester Airport commuter route, there's that one. There's an Asda near alongside, and they made the effort to put in, at least it's a supermarket and it looks like a supermarket. So you know, that sort of detail always goes down well with me. Now that one's on red signal as well. I hope I've not completely broken the timetable. It's probably my fault, this is, because of occupying the line for quite a while. I think I've completely probably messed up the authentic timetable. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be too much moving on the slow lines. Fast lines are okay. There's a bit of a logjam on the slow lines. It shows off particularly nicely the livery on this side, sort of looking into the sun. There's the Power Hall livery up as well on Creators Club, but to me this is kind of original and authentic Freightliner livery, so that was kind of the number one I wanted to try out. Just a quick thank you, by the way. Say thank you very much to everyone that subscribed to the channel. Really, the support is magnificent and much appreciated. And just to say, as ever, if you're watching for the first time, you haven't liked and subscribed already, then if you'd consider doing so, I would be tremendously grateful and really appreciated. I'm trying to build towards that first 1,000, not too far away now. And if you fancy watching the live stream, then that's usually 5 o'clock on Sunday, 5 till 9 generally. We do the 4 hours, and we can have a good old chat with the community. There's some great great people on there as well. So mainly about trains, but we could talk about all sorts of stuff with a bit of football thrown in, bit of sport generally. Whatever takes your fancy. It's always considerably more stuttery, this area. Of course, this is Harrow and Willesden. And we are less than 6 miles away, so that flashing double yellow, I think, is kind of the first indication that we are going to be diverted onto the upslope. So whether we actually get an indication on the bar in the top right about the change in the speed limit, I'm not quite so sure about. I get the speed down a little bit because it would be incredibly frustrating if we got to this stage of the run and we derailed the train because I went hurtling through. And you can be reasonably sure, providing I've uploaded the right video, that if you're watching this, that the chances are it means I've made it. Yeah, definitely does feel underpowered, I have to say. I wouldn't fancy being at the bottom of Shap, for example, and trying to get this up. That'd be an interesting challenge, wouldn't it? But I'm not sure it's one I can take on. Still remembering Matt Penelston's attempts at driving the 66 in the snow on the North London line on the North London line preview. Oh, it has given us the change in the speed limit, so we're 50 through the junction, which is okay. I do love the section between Watford Junction and London Euston on the DC lines, and the fact that you're sharing the Bakerloo line trains from Harrow and Willesden to Queen's Park. Exciting about seeing a train like this just snake through on different tracks. Well, I quite like how they've got the DB Schenker logo on some lorries in the background. I wonder if that was on the original DTG route, or whether that's something that the OTS guys have put in on their timetable. But either way, looks great. So Wembley Central coming up, so that means that well, we're only 3 miles away anyway to the end of this part one. It'd be lovely if you could kind of merge the two routes and just carry on without anything else. That to me would be, I know they've got this route hopping mode, but I'd love to be able to take it just that stage further, and where you could actually just press a button and you could go into part 2 with the same train and the same location. That really would be what I would call route hopping. I mean, the thing is, this route hopping thing, you have to be on the platform, and you know, you're not even on a train. Power is off. Weirdly, when I was putting the brakes on there didn't seem to be any sound. That's a bit odd. I wonder if it's just got something to do with the actual amount of stock you've got in this area. Very, very busy. I have to say, this is where the OTS timetable wins, with the amount of stock that you can see around here. We are 1.9 miles away, but I'm just conscious of the fact that the next signal is red, and it's not here, is it? Not just yet. Those are signals, I think, for the other way. At least I hope so. Anyway. I'm always conscious with driving a freight train that you don't want to be sort of putting on the brakes at the last minute, because it's just that additional weight. It needs a little bit more careful effort. You should just about see the yeah, you can see the Wembley Arch just about in the background there, can't you? You can see that office block building at Stonebridge Park. Yeah, there you go. You can see Wembley rising above the building a bit better there. Now, an interesting thing there is we've got a freight train wandering off on our left, and I'm kind of wondering whether I'm kind of hoping it's not going to mean that that's blocking off. Ah, okay, we've got a green, we're all right. I was kind of a bit worried there. I was thinking, well, does that mean that our path is blocked or something? But no, we've got the diverging feather, haven't we, to take us towards the North London line. You can see Wembley really well now, and you can see again just how busy things are. There's some great freight scenarios on this OTS timetable as well. I've only ever done one actually, but I can remember the last bit of it when I did do it. Reminds me of just how good it is wandering through the yard. It was a work of art. Hey, there you've got a southern service. So that's come from East Croydon. That's come from the... do you know, I never realised that. Again, I don't think that was on the OTS. On the DTG timetable, but we've actually got the McVitie symbol. That's great, love that. I was thinking it was going to be another fly infected run this evening on another hot summer's night, but as it goes, touch wood, I think we're all right. This last bit's going to be slightly tricky because, oh, there's a Bakerloo line train we can see just disappearing on our left. Because I think we've got a bit of a climb actually to get up to the North London line. We are dead level at the moment. It's the old Freightliner crane as well, and I think it's in correct colours now. I don't think it was originally when it came out. Hard to believe, isn't it? You know, it's July as I'm recording this, and we're kind of approaching 10 months ago since this route first came out. And you know, I think years ago, never in my wildest dreams did I think we'd ever get sort of London Euston to Milton Keynes in as much detail as this. Shows how long this train is. I mean, we passed the 30 mile an hour speed limit yonks ago, so we still haven't got the 30 mile an hour. We're kind of coming towards Willesden Junction. Now, I mean, the one thing that is completely realistic, I think, is that if you were doing a freight run like this in real life, you're very likely to be held gaining access to the North London line. There's a Bakerloo line here at Willesden Junction, because I've seen this happen in reality on this bank. Last few yards, and I'm hoping we can get more or less the right spot for the resumption. The biggest challenge actually is to try and more or less replicate the stock. At least I haven't got to worry about the unit number with it not being included. That's one bonus, I suppose. There we are, climbing slightly. and yeah, we should have an adverse signal. We're 400 yards away. Oh, we're dead level again, so this should be all right. Again, it just takes a little while for that power that we've applied to take effect. But again, it's just owing to the fact that we are operating this one car or one loco class 86 working. You can see the detail on the scenery starting to run out a bit now, because we're not supposed to be having the North London line, where obviously this is the West Coast Main Line south. Try and get as close up to that signal as possible. You'll probably find that the exact signal's totally different in the mild Main Line, but I'll try and get it as accurately as I can. I think I'd better get the power off, because it'd be a tremendous shame having got this close to the signal to come a cropper, as it were. I think that'll do us anyway. Lovely livery, absolutely lovely, and you can see the whole rake of containers behind us. So we'll carry on. Oh, wait a minute. Let's get some brakes on. Wait a minute. We're sliding. That's fine. Yeah, we don't want to roll all the way back to Watford Junction, do we? Okay, so that's the end of part one, and hopefully I'll get part two up fairly quickly, and we'll try and carry on the run, see how challenging that is on the North London line. We're about to get hold-ups, and actually it really will be a challenging run to Stratford. So hope you can join me for that, and thank you very much for watching. And as I say, if you've not done so before, if you could like and subscribe to the channel, I'd be tremendously appreciated. Massive thanks and a shout out to everybody that has so far. And if you fancy it, join us live at 5 o'clock on the Sundays for the live stream, usually 4 hours between 5 and 9ish, and we'll try and get a mixture of all sorts of runs, fast and slow, freight and passenger, the whole shebang, mainly UK orientated pretty much, but we always have some decent fun on that. So thank you very much for watching, and until next time, it's good night from Power Flower Trains and Planes.